Hey guys, Fred and Sheila McCoy, Hatfield McCoy Museum in Liberty, Kentucky. FredMcCoy.com. Sheila's behind the camera.
Hi guys, hope you're having a good morning.
Might as well just get started. This one here's going to be on
Jump right to it.
Be on Cap Hatfield.
Okay.
And William Cap Hatfield, Devil Answer Son, Associated Press. It's off of a Facebook page, Wayne County News.
Yeah.
February 24th, 1891. A letter from Cap Hatfield was printed. Now, remember, before we go into that, 1891, February 24th, 1891. And he's going to tell you that there's been peace called between the Hatfields and McCoys. Mm-hmm. So, if there's peace called in 1891, actually, like we said, we think it ended in February the 18th with the hanging of Cotton Top, 1890. So the feud's over. This was a year later.
Right.
But this is Cap Hatfield, and he's wrote to the newspaper, and he says, I ask your valuable paper for these few lines. A general amnesty has been declared in the famous Hatfield-McCoy feud, and I wish to say something of the old and the new. I do not wish to keep the old feud alive, and I suppose that everybody like myself is tired of the names of Hatfield and McCoy and the border warfare in time of peace. The war spirit in me has abated, and I sincerely rejoice at the prospect of peace. I have devoted my life to arms. We have undergone a fearful loss of noble lives and valuable property in the struggle. We being like Adam, not the first transgressors. Now I propose to rest in the spirit of peace. Well. Now that's Cap's writing. That's famous. Anybody that's had anything to do with the feud, you've read this in the newspaper articles, you've read that. That's his words. And I'm going to tell you, it sounds real good. It sounds like one of those soft-spoken people that we listen to holding the peace treaty in their hands, real soft-spoken and easygoing, and they've got that hand out to shake hands. But at the same time, what's he saying here? Let's listen to the words once again. Let's look at it. Let me just read the last part. We have undergone a fearful loss of noble lives and valuable property in the struggle. We being like Adam, not the first transgressors. Now I propose to rest in spirit of peace. We've lost a lot. We've lost a lot of people. We've lost a lot of property. When did Randall McCoy or the McCoys burn any cabins of the West Virginia Hatfields? When did they lose property? Mm-hmm. You know, Jim McCoy and the posse was over in West Virginia one time looking for Devil Ants, and they went to his house, and Lavasi had supper made for Devil Ants and Johnson and all the men, and they had took to the woods when the posse came across. They had run, and Jim McCoy and that bunch of men went inside Lavasi's house. They were looking for Devil Ants and them, and there was supper on the table. And they said, well, since Devil Ants is not here to eat, we'll just go ahead and eat his supper. So they sat down and ate. And they bragged on Lavasi's cooking. They complimented her. They didn't tear their house up. They didn't burn their house down. They ate their food and bragged on it. Told them to tell Devil Ants they'll see them later. Well, they never did see them. He ran every time and hid, and they never did get him. He went to his grave with murder once on him. So when you read this, that it says we've lost valuable property in this struggle. No, they didn't lose anything like that. We've been like Adam, not the first transgressors. Okay, not the first transgressors. Let's see when this started. 1863, when Devil Ants up and deserted the Civil War in the heat of battle. Him and a bunch of his family and a bunch of his friends got on their horses, and they rode off. They rode off back to West Virginia. That's the first transgression because they deserted. The second transgression is 2 years later when they ambushed and assassinated Asa Harmon McCoy.
Yep.
Asa Harmon McCoy that went and hid in a cave to keep.
He was already wounded from the war.
This is January, huh?
He was already wounded, so that's...
He was already shot in the hip. That's why he had been sent home December the 24th, because he was injured. He'd been discharged. He hid in the cave to keep them from burning his house down or harming his family. He gets off to himself in the dead winter, January the 7th, I think it is, 6th or 7th, they kill him. Assassinated him. Transgression? The next thing was probably 1878 when Hog Stealing Floyd stole Randall's pig. That was 1878. There's three transgressions. The fourth, 1882. Well, you got Asa Peter McCoy that charged Ellis and Hatfield with stealing 4 of his pigs.
Yeah.
So that would have been 4 transgressions.
Yeah.
You know, he pled guilty and paid to fine. Him and them 3 other guys had to pay $80 or something like that. I got the court records in there.
It was so much a pound, so they ended up paying $800.
$10 a pound. No, I think it was 200. It was 800 pound between them. So it was $80, something like that's what the paper says.
Okay.
But anyway, that's 4 transgressions. And 1882, let's talk about Bad Elias. Not Bad Elias, but Ellison. Ellison. You know, that may have been a transgression in the end for the McCoys, but in the beginning, Bad Elias and Tolbert McCoy had been fighting. The fight was over, it was gone. Until Ellis and Hatfield stood up, all 5'10" of them, but they say he was a big man. He was a brute. He was a bear of a man. Well, it must have went out like this because his height was 5'10".
Yeah, I think they called him a mountain, what was that, mountain man? Not a mountain man, but he was a...
Yeah.
Something done with the mountain.
It's in one of our videos.
Yeah.
Go back and watch our videos.
Yeah.
Anyway, until Ellis and Hatfield stood up and looked at Tolbert McCoy and said, hey, try that on me. And a fight started again. And that's where that fight started. So that was a transgression on the West Virginia Hatfield's part. Now, in the end, after he starts whooping Tolbert, then hitting him with a rock, and the other 2 McCoys join in, which has always baffled me. It's always baffled me. You know, the West Virginia Hatfields, maybe they've never thought about this. Maybe they've never thought about how bad this makes them look. The West Virginia Hatfields have always talked to Life magazine and different ones, and they've always talked about Ellison. Alan Hatfield said that Ellison was stabbed 50 times. He's on a radio interview on YouTube, and he says he was stabbed 40 to 50 times. How does that make Good Elias, Wall Hatfield, any of the other Hatfields that was there on the scene that day, how's that make them look? Makes them look like they're cowards. You've got 3 McCoys stabbing, fighting, 1 Hatfield, and you're sitting there watching it while they're stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. Count 50 of these. Count 50. How long does it take to do that 50 times to somebody? How many times? But you can't get up out off your pot of ground or your chair to come over and help your brother or your uncle or your nephew or your cousin? Nah. But anyway, that's not the first. They wasn't Adam. They were not the first. The McCoys were not the first transgressors against them. So, contrary to what Cap Hatfield, Cap Hatfield writes one thing there, and if you just read it for what it is, it sounds real good. It sounds real good. If you read it, it just sounds, you think, well, poor old guy, he's wanting to make peace, and that's where they've messed up. Through the years, they say, oh, the Hatfields wanted, West Virginia Hatfields wanted peace, but they were always met with aggression. You've already killed 6 of Randall McCoy's family. And now you want to make up so you can drop the warrants on you from the warrants. This is 1891.
Mm-hmm.
The warrants, indictment warrants was put out in 1882, 9 years. He's had warrants out on him for 9 years already. He's been hiding out for 9 years, and it ain't the fighting that's got him. It's sleeping in caves. It's not been able to come to Kentucky. It's having to look over your shoulder and watch everything you do. Wants peace. We done killed 6 members of your family, burnt your house, beat your wife, but hey, we want peace. Nah, Randall McCoy, he didn't want peace. He didn't buy that. Now, I'm going to go on with this article. That should be, how long is that?
10, almost 11 minutes.
Well, I'll try to make this fast.
Okay.
Feud's illness is giving concern. Cap Hatfield is seriously ill at his home in Allen Creek, Kentucky. This is another article, August the 1st, of talking about Cap Hatfield. And they say, we just try to look for things that's completely wrong, and it's no big deal. It's minute. Cap Hatfield is the oldest son of Devil Anse Hatfield. Outstanding figure in the feud. He is the elder brother of Sheriff Joe Hatfield and of this county, and Tennis Hatfield, former Logan County. And Cap Hatfield was not the oldest. Chauncey Hatfield is Devil Anse's oldest son. So again, that's minute. Mm-hmm. It says here that he's killed more than, was the leader in Kentucky, West Virginia clan fights that lasted a half century. More than 100 lives were lost. There was 12 lives lost in the Hatfield-McCoy feud. 12 lives. Spent last year's in peace, and then he succumbs in Baltimore. They said Cap Hatfield spent his last year's in peace, and he did, more than likely, other than watching over his shoulder. Like I said, Devil Anse spent his last year's in peace, if you want to call it that, but he was never without a gun. When he got baptized, show this picture right here. Look at Devil Anse getting baptized. This is 1911. Can you see Devil Anse getting baptized? Now look at his pants right here, how they're leaning toward the right. Show him right here what he's got in his right pocket. There's what he had in his pocket. Now he couldn't take his rifle, show Stephen there. He couldn't take his rifle to be baptized with him, so he stuck a pistol in his pocket. Now, you know that when your pants get wet, how they sag. There you go. Look how they're sagging. They're sagging because he's got a pistol in his pocket. He didn't go nowhere without a gun, or he didn't go nowhere without security, without bodyguards, without family and friends. Cap Hatfield died today at the age of 68 of a brain ailment.
Yeah.
Now, you know, there's 2 of them. I can't remember the second one, but we'll get it. But there's at least 2 of the Hatfields that's died of brain ailments and stuff like that. But yet, they got the thing going around. Like I said, in videos past, it seemed like everything that happened to the Hatfields that was bad, the stories got turned around, and it was the McCoys that was doing it. So the story got out that McCoy's has got this element about brain dysfunction and stuff, which I think everybody's got that nowadays in time. But anyway, but yet here's you one that's actually the hospital report and everything is showing that Cap Hatfield had a brain ailment. Cap was called the most dangerous of the clan. He was not the eldest of 13 children. More than 100 men, women, and children of 2 families were slain during the battle. That's not true. It's said that those days, whenever McCoy heard a wind that there was a gun out it, and the Hatfields, if they heard one, the McCoys are in Kentucky and the Hatfields in West Virginia. We know that's not true. If you watched any of our videos, there was Hatfields and McCoys on both sides of the river. Mm-hmm. And the Kentucky McCoys is some of the finest people that you'll ever see, at least from other than Allen Hatfield's family that lived at Buskirk. The sons of both families joined the Home Guards. That's not true. Joined the Home Guards. There was no such thing for the Randall McCoy's boys. Was not in the Civil War. Trouble began over stolen hogs. See how they try to skip. you can tell when a story is written by Hatfield because they want to skip 1863. They want to skip the Civil War. They want to skip when Devil Anse Hatfield deserted and the hard feelings started. They want to skip when Asa Harmon McCoy was killed and hard feelings continued. They want to skip that. They want to say, hey, let's go to 1878 and say it was over those pigs. It's not. It was over the Civil War. The first bloodshed occurred soon after when Devil Anse killed Harmon McCoy. See, they say up here that the feud was over the pigs. And then soon after, Asa Harmon McCoy was killed. Well, the pig trial was 1878. Civil War, Asa Harmon was killed in 1865. It don't come like that. They got your stories. They're trying to act like it's... He was finally captured by the man, her family, and turned over to sheriff, arrested carrying a concealed weapon. I think they're talking about Johnsy there because Cap was never... You know, Cap was arrested for murder one time for killing the Rutherfords and so forth, but that's a different story. But that was in West Virginia, and that's when his wife broke him out of the Wimpson jail. And somewhere over here, if you'll look, here's the story when he was broke out of the Wimpson jail. We're showing you all kinds of stuff today, and if you'll take your time and read it. And then this one over here is
a reward.
Yeah, that's where they've offered a reward. And there's the old handcuffs.
Oops,
sorry
sorry.
about that.
Sorry.
But continuing on, three brothers killed, the stabbing of Ellison Hatfield, and says here 4 McCoy boys. 4. Now instead of 3 McCoy boys, there's 4 jumping on one Hatfield. No other Hatfields is jumping in there. Wow, man! I'll tell you what, family like that, they don't need enemies. As Ellison lay dying, Elias and Wall Hatfield, finding out what happened, headed a troop of kinsmen who seized Tolbert, Palmer, and Randolph McCoy Jr. The Hatfields took the McCoys back. Hatfield setting, the home was set afire. Miss McCoy, wife of Randolph, ran out and she was knocked senseless. Her 16-year-old daughter was shot dead. Alifair was not 16.
She was older.
She was older. You know
how? I'm not sure. I was thinking in her 30s, but I could be wrong.
Same thing, but I could be wrong too. So we won't say so that way we're not wrong.
Yeah.
But she was older than 16. Was shot dead, and Randolph shot his way to freedom. Calvin McCoy was killed, and victory belonged to the Hatfields. Victory belonged to the Hatfields. Hello. We'll continue in a minute.
Okay.
Hey guys, we're back. Sorry about that. Well, you don't even know nothing about it.
Yeah.
Because there's no pause in it, but we had a couple of customers and then another guy and his children come in from Louisville after that. And, he'll know who I'm talking about, but real nice people today.
They were.
We've had a wonderful day. Very nice people and very informative and inquisitive. I'm not worried about where we left off at, where it says the Hatfields claimed victory. So if there was a victory in it, fine. I don't think nobody could claim victory in the Hatfield-McCoy feud, but that's just me. The fight at Devil's Backbone, and then they go on, they talk about how they met at Devil's Backbone and fought. There was never a fight between the Hatfields and McCoys at Devil's Backbone. That's where Devil Anse supposedly went and hid out a lot when the law was looking for them. But the Kentucky McCoys, or anybody from Kentucky, the posse, never went up to Devil's Backbone, up that far in the hills looking for Devil Anse. That's why he got away all the time. He was safe. Nobody's going to climb that. Cap, who studied law by correspondence in the Middle Age and had been admitted to the bar, but he did not practice. He did not practice law. He wanted to be a lawyer, but he passed the bar, but he didn't practice. You've got a law license. Your family stays in legal trouble, either timbering other people's property, moonshining other people's territory, whatever, but you don't practice. Don't make sense to me. Call it skepticism, call it whatever you want, don't make sense to me. They say the Hatfield, West Virginia Hatfields have always said Cap Hatfield. They haven't always said it. I've just heard it the last 10, 12 years maybe since the movie, that Cap Hatfield had a law degree, but yet he never studied law or practiced law. I don't buy that. Once again, that's one of our questions that we've got on our long list, asking for proof. It's here they put it in the newspaper. The Hatfields had the newspaper printed. It's too bad that the newspaper, before they printed it, Associated Press, it's too bad that, I don't know what newspaper it is, but it's too bad that the newspaper reporter didn't say, oh yeah, you're talking about Cap having a law degree. Can you show me that? Can you show me his bar acceptance letter? Can you show me where he was allowed to practice law? Can you show us even a book that he studied back then? Can you show us anything at all rather than speaking it into history? I've never seen the beat, but Cap said he guessed that he had been shot at about 300 times during the mountain warfare and was wounded but once. Well, we know he was shot at battle, at the Battle of Grapevine too, but especially when he was with Jim Vance that day when he run off, whether Jim Vance told him to run or whether he ran on his own. We know that Frank Phillips ran on McCoy, Jim McCoy. We know that the posse was shooting at him because they actually killed Jim Vance and they supposedly wounded Cap that day. So I don't know how many times he was shot at, but we know that he was shot that day while he was running away. What they might say about Randall McCoy escaping. Guys, it's Fred and Sheila McCoy. We're at the Hatfield McCoy Museum, and Sheila's
Hi, guys.
getting ready to say something.
Please like, subscribe, and share. Have a great evening. Bye.